So thanks everyone for joining today. I hope you're all looking forward to the presentations. My name is Tara. I'm the engagement lead for OpenActive at the Open Data Institute. And so just speaking today, we're going to have my colleague Ollie, who is an engagement consultant at the ODI working on OpenActive. We'll have Andrew Crow from Active Suffolk and Emma Gooch from Yorkshire Sport speaking as well. And the layout of today looks like this. So Ollie is going to give you a 15-minute introduction to OpenActive for those of you who haven't been involved in the program before, but also just a bit of an update where we are now, so to give you guys that information. And then Andrew is going to be speaking about his experience with OpenActive at Active Suffolk, and Emma will be doing the same with her experience at Yorkshire Sport. Ollie will then briefly go through different ways that you can get involved in OpenActive as an active partnership, and then we'll have 15 minutes at the end for a Q&A session. Okay, so in that case, I'm going to pass you over to my colleague Ollie, who's going to give you an introduction to OpenActive.
Cool, thanks Tara. Hi everyone, I'm Ollie, and thanks for joining this webinar. So for those of you who maybe aren't fully aware of OpenActive or it's your first time here, OpenActive is a non-profit initiative which is funded by Sport England and is stewarded by both the Open Data Institute and UK Active. So some of you may have seen this phrase before, it's on our website, but to put it simply, OpenActive wants to make finding and booking a badminton court in your hometown as simple as finding and booking a hotel room on the other side of the world. And what is the problem that OpenActive is trying to solve? So research by Sport England has shown that 1/5 of adults have been put off doing a physical activity because it was too difficult to find or book online. Now, we know that for someone with motivation level that's high, but finding and booking online is not a issue for them. They aren't worried about spending time looking for that. However, for someone with low levels of motivation, the fact it's then difficult to actually find an activity online can be the barrier that stops them from taking part and therefore stops them from actually becoming active. So what is OpenActive doing to solve this problem? OpenActive is making it easier to find and book physical activities online through the use of open data, and we're going to discuss that throughout this webinar. And we're already starting to see that OpenActive has the potential to provide some real value to the physical activity sector. So a report that was published towards the end of last year by a consultancy called Frontier Economics estimates that for activity providers, OpenActive has the potential to increase their participation rates by up to 10 to 25% per physical activity opportunity that they put on. So as we can see here, there's the potential for a quite significant increase in participation rates thanks to OpenActive. Now, before we delve further into OpenActive and open data in the physical activity sector, let's take a look at a couple of other sectors where open data is being used, which help us to find and book services online. And the majority of us probably benefit from this without having even realised. So firstly, if we look at the travel sector, for example, obviously in the last couple of months, this hasn't been the case, but hopefully we're getting back there very soon. But generally, under normal circumstances, booking a holiday is an incredibly easy process. So when we decide we want to go on holiday, we can go to websites such as Expedia or Last Minute or Booking to book hotel. So to start with, we type in our location and some dates. Next, we can use the filters to search for any criteria that we think is relevant to us. So for example, I want to find somewhere that has a pool. I want somewhere that's a child-friendly resort. And after putting all of these filters, we simply click search and are given a page with a whole host of different options on it. And from this same site, we can then simply book the holiday in a couple of simple steps. We haven't had to leave our sofa to do this. It's a very, very simple process. We don't need to search through each individual airline's website to book. We don't need to ring around different travel agencies. And we don't need to physically go into a travel agency and talk to someone. So all of the information we require to find and book a holiday is displayed on our screen in a matter of seconds, and this is thanks to open data. And another great example is the takeaway sector. So I imagine that many of us will have used apps such as Just Eat or Deliveroo or Uber Eats before to book a takeaway. So these apps give us, as a consumer, the ability to filter for a number of different types of takeaway foods and allow us to browse through all of the different takeaway options nearby to us. And this includes national chains down to our local takeaways. So unlike in the past where we would have needed a physical menu and then had to ring up the takeaway to order it, we now can simply use an app such as Just Eat, search for what we want, place an order, and again, it's done very quickly from the comfort of our sofa. And this again is thanks to open data. And as we can see from the slide, the spending on takeaways has grown significantly in quite a short period of time and will probably have grown even more since then. So by allowing us as consumers to have a much wider variety of options in a really simple way through the app, we're spending more on takeaways. And these apps have also allowed the smaller local takeaways to promote their menus to a much wider audience than they ever could have done with their own marketing. But before we move on, we just want to make it very clear that OpenActive is not an activity finder. We are not creating an activity finder in the style of Just Eat for takeaways, for example. And the reason for this is that different audiences have many different needs in the physical activity sector, and one app just wouldn't be able to cover this. So, for example, if we take an experienced CrossFit athlete and we look at someone who's just taken up exercise for the first time, clearly they have very different needs and will be looking for different kind of activities. So one app simply wouldn't solve this problem. So OpenActive is, however, a community of organizations that have come together to create a set of standards. And these standards allow the activity providers to open up their opportunity data in a standardized format. And this in turn makes it far easier for different websites, apps, and platforms to display this data in near real time. So I just mentioned opportunity data, and what does this mean? So in the context of OpenActive, opportunity data is the information an individual would need to decide if an activity is right for them. So it includes the type of activity available. For example, is it an event? Is it a class? Is it the facility where the activity is taking place? And it also includes data such as the time the activity is taking place, its location, and the number of spots available. So to give an example of that, I personally like to play golf. So for me, I would need to know about the golf course which is available near me, which would be the facility. I would then need to book a tee time. So I'd need to know the availability of the tee times. And I'd also like to know the price of this tee time. So this for me is the information I would require. To give another example, for someone who maybe wants to find a new route to go for some new runs on, they would want to know things such as the length of this route, the gradient of this route, the surface of this route, and they'd also like some images to see if it's appealing to them. So it's the information that we as individuals would need to decide if an opportunity is right for us to take part in. And just a couple of important points to add here. Firstly is that opportunity data does not include any personal information about any individuals or any commercially sensitive information. It's all of the data which is already provided by the activity providers for us that we'd normally see in their own marketing. And secondly, just to point out that in regards to the images you can see on the screen, all of this is mandatory. So for example, if an activity provider doesn't currently provide a difficulty level, they don't need to do this via OpenActive. But again, it would be very, very beneficial to us as an individual if we had that level to help us decide if it was right for us. And just to give kind of a real life example to this, so this is a screenshot from Stevenage Lifestyle's website. And as we can see here, we've got the timetables, price lists, and activities listed on their website. So this is their opportunity data. So again, this is the data which activity providers are already promoting on their own websites, their own marketing, and it's the information that we as individuals need. So there's nothing personal here. It's just the information which is already being displayed by the activity providers. So if we put this into essentially a flow diagram, we can see how it works before and with OpenActive. So before OpenActive, an activity provider will have their opportunity data. Now they may use an online booking system to manage this, or they may not. They may use something like Excel They then may display this opportunity data on their own website, or they may even use marketing techniques such as posters in a local community centre. And from this, they are able to reach their network, but only their network. However, on the right-hand side of OpenActive, an activity provider will use an OpenActive enabled booking system. Now, this means the system has implemented the standards that the OpenActive community has created. And there are a number of booking systems available that have done this so far. And later on in the slides, we've linked a guide to our own guides to these booking systems for you to use and to share with your local activity providers. So once an activity provider has uploaded their opportunity data into this OpenActive enabled booking system, the opportunity data is able to be displayed on a number of different websites, apps, and platforms in near real time, all updated through the one booking system, and therefore they are able to reach a much larger community. So again, this is just kind of another flow diagram, but it's got real life examples here. So if we look on the left-hand side, this is a selection, a few of the activity providers which have currently are publishing their opportunity data as open. As we can see there, they are using one of again, a selection of the booking and management systems that have implemented the standards. And again, this means that their opportunity data, the activity providers' opportunity data, can be displayed on a number of the different activity finders on the right-hand side. And as we can see, there are both national activity finders, such as Change for Life or Play by Decathlon, down to local activity finders, such as Active Surrey have an activity finder on their website. And just to make it clear that this is just a very small snapshot of the organisations involved. There are many more organisations that have have opened their data and are using the data. And there are a number of benefits for activity providers to open up their data. So as I explained earlier, and as the report from the Frontier Economics Consultancy suggested, they could increase their reach potentially by 25% by opening opportunities and having it displayed on multiple websites and apps. And obviously this therefore leads to the increased participation, which can lead to an increase in income, if that's what an organization is looking for. So thanks to the fact that they use an OpenActive enabled booking system, which updates the opportunities across all platforms in near real time, their marketing time is also significantly reduced. They don't have to manually upload their sessions on each different website or app or platform. And with the amount of websites and apps that have the potential to use their opportunity data, activity providers potentially have the ability to reach the harder to target audiences, so those that they've previously struggled to engage with their own marketing. And for your local residents, so OpenActive helps to remove this barrier of being difficult to find and book physical activity online. And with open opportunity data being available, it allows the potential for new innovative apps to be created, which could provide personalized experiences and tailored offers, as we have seen in many other sectors. So we're creating the chance for the physical activity sector to catch up with a number of other sectors that we currently see in. And for you guys yourselves in the active partnerships, OpenActive, firstly, it allows you to support your local activity providers in reaching a large audience. It then makes it easier for your local residents to find an activity that's right for them. And of course, all of this, we hope, leads to more people being active in your local community. But we see OpenActive as being more than just simply finding and booking a badminton court and making it as easy as a hotel room. There are a number of other things that we are currently working on and we hope to work on in the future. And just to run through a few of these quickly, firstly, accessibility is something that we're looking to work on. So we know that disabled people are more likely to be inactive than non-disabled people. So we are working closely with a number of disability organisations to produce some new additional properties into the standards. And this will ensure that accessibility needs are considered and detail is provided so that someone with a disability can make a more informed choice about whether an opportunity is suitable for them and their needs. Secondly, So we know that social prescribing is something active partnerships are particularly interested in. And I saw a recent stat that said that 82% of active partnerships are actively working on this. So to give an example here in the active partnership space, we know that London Sport have recently received funding to deliver a 12-month project to explore how open data could support social prescribing in getting more people active. And from the ODI and UK Active side, UK Active are currently leading on some work with the recently formed National Academy for Social Prescribing to gauge how OpenActive and open opportunity data could be used to help health professionals refer patients to physical activity opportunities in their community. And also routes is another area of work that we're currently focusing on. So we have recently developed a routes standard so that routes, paths and trails can all be described in a standardized way, which again makes it far easier for them to be featured on many different websites, apps and platforms. And this therefore makes it firstly easier for people to actually find out about the routes which are available to them, and secondly, go and use these routes to keep active. And to give an example of how this is currently working, Explore Kent, which is Kent Sports initiative to help get people walking and cycling, have been working closely with us at the ODI to open up their routes data and make it far easier for people to discover trails and paths in Kent. So just to kind of finish on, this is not an exhaustive list, and we see there could be many other areas in the future where OpenActive could have a real benefit, and the probabilities of this are potentially endless, so we haven't discovered them all yet, but there are many places where OpenActive can go to help people get active. So that was a quick introduction to OpenActive, and after the next couple of presentations from the active partnerships themselves, I'll take you through what you can do to get involved with OpenActive if you aren't already.
Thanks, Ollie. So we'll now have Andrew talking about his experience with OpenActive at Active Suffolk. So Andrew, if you wouldn't mind sharing your screen.
Yeah, no worries. First of all, hello everyone. Nice to see you all, and thank you to the guys at OpenActive for the opportunity to present today. For those of you who haven't met me before, I'm the Development Officer at Active Suffolk, leading on insight and evaluation. Just a quick overview of what I'll go through over the next 10 minutes. So first of all, open data and how Active Suffolk have heard about it. Our thoughts and experiences so far on our journey with open data. The benefits of open data, not just to ourselves, but both to clubs and community groups and to users themselves. Some of the open data options that we already use, and some thoughts about the future of open data as well. So, first of all, where did we hear about it? So, as Ollie had previously mentioned, open data as a concept has been around for quite a long time, but we may not necessarily have known about it whilst we've been benefiting from it. So things such as whenever you're looking to renew your car insurance, if you're browsing mortgage rates or looking to buy a holiday or book a hotel, that's all benefits of the open data already out there. We've already got sort of a couple of open data sources on our websites. We already have an activity finder. But previously as well, we've heard about open data through the Active Partnerships Hub, which has been really useful for sharing sort of new things and also seeing how other active partnerships are using certain resources effectively. Personally, I feel we're far from there, but we're certainly on the right sort of path with this journey. And it encompasses all of our work. So open data allows us to connect our programs with clubs, community groups and leisure operators. So here's a bit of a sort of cheesy graph, but essentially we've got some of our own projects that we deliver. So whether or not it's fit villages for elderly people in rural Suffolk or satellite clubs for some children and young people in Suffolk. We've also got our leisure operators who may be offering opportunities at their facilities or community outreach programs. We've also got the traditional clubs, whether or not that's specific sports or physical activities. And then we've also got community groups. And in an ideal world, open data encompasses all of that. So there's a one-stop shop effectively for all of these organisations, and that's where we want to get to. So our thoughts on open data. we obviously have the opportunity to connect multiple opportunities over a variety of platforms. So in an ideal world, it won't matter which activity finder somebody is using, but they will always get that benefit. So the obvious example is whether or not you're looking to book your holiday through Expedia or a different website, you're going to find all of those opportunities. And in an ideal world, that will be the same with physical activity. And that offers the best possible user experience. As mentioned as well, when you have an activity finder set up, it will pull through the data that's uploaded to it. So it will support both members or smaller organisations to set up and utilise the platform and maintain it through marketing. That's where we feel our key role is to support those groups and organisations. But it is pretty organic as a result. So you can often set up recurring groups and activities. And again, you have the flexibility with different platforms as well to have reach at a local, national or private level. So if you wanted only, for instance, for ourselves, if we wanted our Fit Villages classes to be promoted just within Suffolk, we can do that with certain finders. We can also pull through other sort of activities, whether or not that's at a national level or even using classes that may be published in a different country. Finally, as well, it's pretty inexpensive. So there's a vast majority of platforms that are out there, but a lot of them are very cheap as well. I'll discuss some of the ones that we use, but they are, as I say, largely inexpensive to access. So the benefits of open data, obviously there's a lot of them. So I'll just sort of go through the ones that we experience. So as active partnerships, being that central location for bookings, it's excellent for us to link with partners and stakeholders, and that fulfills our primary role. Also the succession as well for us. So one of the issues that we've encountered is we fund projects for 3 months potentially, manage the bookings for that period, but then what happens after that time? So by utilising open data, we're able to sort of continue to manage those bookings, but also to see whether or not activities are still continuing. And in turn, we continue to promote them that way. For users, there's a significant number of benefits. Like with basic economics and business, any time where there's more choice available to a consumer, it's always going to benefit that consumer. So it will improve the quantity and the quality of that activity, and likely also drive that cost down as well. So by connecting as many opportunities as possible to that user, there's going to be plenty of benefits to them. And I always do like that example that the team use, where they say that they'd like a badminton court to be booked as easily as a hotel room, because that is what we want. And to try and tackle an activity, we need to get to that point. Also for clubs and community groups, again, promoting their sessions and activities and connecting users to benefit from a greater marketing reach. That can only be a good thing for those clubs and community groups. Some of the options that we use, so there's a couple that we use on our website already. Active partnerships that are already using SportSuite for their website, you will already have an activity finder built in. It's been recently updated to include live streamed activities as well, and it's got an improved look, which is quite nice. It's really straightforward and easy to use. So those of you that have SportSuite for your website hosting, you will have that already. A second one that we've been using recently is Playways. Again, it's really good for that booking management side of things. So we're looking to implement it into future satellite clubs that we set up, and also trying to embed it into future projects that we deliver. Another system that we use which benefits and pulls through open data, it's a really good one, is Data Hub. So it's different because it collects swipe data and attendance at Suffolk sites. So essentially there's about 290 sites in Suffolk, but that's not just traditional leisure operators. It's also a village hall where physical activity is occurring and they're uploading their data, for instance. And for us, it's really useful to track activity trends and demographic analysis. We also use it extensively to collect social value calculations for our project work. And as there's always that pressure to evaluate our impact and to communicate it, we find that a really useful tool. and it's useful for collating those impact reports at a local level. So last section is the future for open data. Actually, in the current climate, with everything that's happening with COVID-19, obviously there's a huge number of downsides to it, but this actually provides a bit of an opportunity for us. So whether or not it's going to book your haircut, or in the future booking when you're going to go to a restaurant, actually physical activity is going to have to conform to those restrictions as well. So booking will become essential and standard practice due to the impact of COVID-19. So there is this opportunity to collate bookings and improve our sector's offer. Impact reporting, as I previously mentioned, there's a greater need always to evidence our impact to funders, to Sport England, local authorities, etc. But with open data and a suitable booking system, that will allow us to capture the number of opportunities, who is attending, and improve our future comms. And lastly, greater availability and choice. Improving provision for consumers will become the expectation for future delivery across other sectors, and it's important that our sector doesn't fall behind, and it's vital that we follow suit. So that's it from me. Thank you again to the OpenActive team, and if you've got any questions, do feel free to get in touch with me.
Thank you, Andrew. That was really helpful. And as Andrew said, if you have got any questions for him, please do get in touch. Likewise, you can also get in touch with us, and we can pass any messages along as well. So now we're going to hear from Emma, who works at Yorkshire Sport.
So hi, I'm Emma. As mentioned before, I'm the Data and Insight Manager at Yorkshire Sport Foundation. And I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story really about our journey with OpenActive, kind of what we've done prior to lockdown, some kind of really good learning that we've had during lockdown, and then some plans that we've got going forwards. So as Andrew said, I'd like to kind of also thank the ODI for this opportunity to kind of just talk a little bit about our journey, but also for the opportunity of being an OpenActive champion, and kind of Emma Robinson, the Research and Insight Manager before me at Yorkshire Sport, was also an OpenActive champion as well. So this journey does start kind of before I started at Yorkshire Sport Foundation, but I'm going to try and explain that journey to you and some of the learnings that we found along the way. So why did we kind of decide to start the open data, the OpenActive conversation? Well, really to pursue our vision as a vibrant, healthy and prosperous Yorkshire through sport. And some of those, and kind of one of the ways that we aim to do that is through improved promotion of opportunities and inspiration to help more people take part in sport on a regular basis and have greater inclusivity so that everyone can take part. So looking at those things kind of in our vision and our aims, OpenActive just seemed to make sense to us. Free marketing for the kind of clubs and organisations that we work with to raise awareness of their sessions that are going on, but also an opportunity to signpost people to an activity finder with live data that is just kind of continually updated, rather than something that we had to go back to and update those sessions as they took place. So before lockdown and our journey kind of over the year before that, we have a SportSuite activity finder on our website, and we work with SportSuite to understand how that data was open and how it linked with other activity finders. One of the things I really wanted to make sure that I had a full understanding of was how that worked, so that I would be able to explain that to clubs and just make sure that I had that information kind of correct. And then we were able to promote opportunity for clubs and sessions in the area to populate that platform with their data. And we were also able to promote the finder across our networks for people to find opportunities to take part in that activity. We also supported some of our districts in the area to have kind of a widget of their own activity finder within their websites, so people in their kind of areas could find that and link through to our Yorkshire Sport Foundation activity finder. And we also supported other districts in kind of exploring their own OpenActive opportunities and finders, and helping them kind of link the OpenActive opportunities together in their area, be that with clubs, be that with kind of the leisure facilities. And we used our YSF Connect session to do that, where we pulled kind of our key partners together and we talked about the benefits of OpenActive, and kind of the free marketing and opportunities available to people for opening their opportunity data. But it also allowed us to address some of the concerns that people had around opening their data. I think kind of with GDPR, there's a bit of a fear of opening data, but we were able to kind of explain, as Ollie did earlier, that it's not that personal data that's shared, it's just a way to kind of spread more opportunities across the network and have that kind of one-stop shop for sport and physical activity. And it also allowed us to kind of discuss the benefits and some things that people had kind of seen as well at the same time. And it led to some local authorities kind of jumping on board and opening their data, and some larger providers saying, yes, you know, we'll open our data, we want to be part of this, pressing a button, speaking to their provider, allowing the opportunity data to be open. We did have some bumps along the road. I won't tell you it was all smooth sailing. There were some local authorities that struggled a little bit with some of the providers that they were using. But we did pull together a data procurement session with some of our local authorities to discuss the benefits of ensuring that OpenActive is included kind of in their leisure contract. And there is a template for that on OpenActive's website, as well as a document on Sport England's website that's really useful if that's ever a conversation that any of you are having with your local authorities and leisure providers. But that got us to really think about what about smaller clubs that don't really have that option to just press a button and open their data in the same way as the larger providers. So this is something that we were kind of really jumping into before lockdown. But then actually I think since lockdown happened and we really saw the benefit of open data through being able to search for a virtual activity. It's something that I think the open data providers did really well in making that opportunity so quick for people to be able to pick up and add their virtual kind of activity. And it's something that I wonder whether the demand might remain there for that virtual activity for a bit longer. We're certainly seeing that with some of the bids that are coming into Yorkshire Sport Foundation at the moment. So we're trying to keep that balance of virtual and physical activity. So I guess over the last few months, we've been thinking a lot about our approach to OpenActive and the ways kind of we've been presenting how to open data and the opportunities to open the data. And if our aim is to get more people across South Yorkshire and West Yorkshire to take part in sport and physical activity, specifically inactive people, we kind of need to start looking at where inactive people would find activity. And my thought is it's probably not on our activity finder. So it's how we raise awareness of that activity finder in those communities beyond just signposting them to Yorkshire Sport Foundation. So a little bit of a practical example, during the COVID-19 lockdown, we set up a virtually active programme where we funded some of our clubs that we work with and organisations a little bit of money to be able to do some virtual activity during the period of time where we couldn't leave the house at all. And for the first time, we wrote into the SLAs and agreements that people kind of had to put their activity onto our activity finder. So that we could promote the link across social media and on our Active at Home page. And it worked really well, actually. In the Durham Valley, which is one of our specific kind of targeted programmes, the sessions that were on there virtually had more than 25,000 views, which for an area kind of the size of the Durham Valley was really spectacular. And I don't expect that they were all from that area, but I know that by having that activity pushed out via social media kind of really helped get more people active within the Durham Valley. So we learnt there that people look at Facebook and social media for activity. So we're thinking more about how we can use our activity finder and OpenActive to help more inactive people kind of be active. So Ollie, I don't know if you can jump to the next slide for me, please. Yep. Yeah, there you go. So we use SportSuite, and we have SportSuite Activity Finder on our kind of homepage at the moment, and our aim firstly is to kind of put out a short video with the quick benefits of clubs adding their activity to our SportSuite Activity Finder. So I think it's really important that we make it as easy as possible for the clubs as well as the users, because a lot of the people that we work with are kind of volunteers in the clubs, and they don't have a lot of time to try and kind of get to grips with this kind of thing. So making it as easy as possible for them has been kind of a real key piece of learning for us. So we just wanted to produce a really quick video where they can just have a quick look at the benefits of it, and then a how to add your activity via SportsSuite. So we're going to promote out and kind of encourage clubs across our area to add their activity. Then we're going to be able to promote that finder again with more opportunities on it, having pushed it out to clubs and organisations. And then one of the main things that we're going to be looking to do kind of in the next few months is to ask the clubs and the providers about the benefits they've seen of opening their opportunity data. So I think it'd be really useful for us to have a story from one club to another, to be able to say, this is what I did, this is how easy it was, and this is kind of how you could do it too, and the benefits that we've seen, as well as pulling together a really easy kind of checklist for clubs so that they know that they've opened their data. We're going to use campaigns. We had plans to use the This Girl Can campaign to really encourage people to add activity to the finder, so that they would know that it would be there at the local level, kind of on Yorkshire Sport Foundation's website, but also kind of on that national finder as well. But one thing that we're definitely going to look at over the next few months that's really come out of the learning from the Virtually Active programme is a more targeted approach to clubs and organisations who are offering activity that will help our communities that we work in to be more active. So I think, Ollie, if you click again, I've put a question on this slide. So where are the people who are in greatest need, and what do we offer them? So kind of we're still going to do that scatter approach that I explained above with social media, in terms of trying to get as many people as possible to add activity to the finder. But we're also going to really use our existing projects and provision to see what the target audiences would want to do, and how we can open those opportunities to those who are not already accessing them. So whether that be through our SportsSuite finder and them adding their activity, or whether they're a funded project. Because one of the things that we've done kind of in the last 9 months is we've introduced playways to Yorkshire Sport Foundation, and all of our activity is now on playways, and the deliverers know how to keep kind of registers and everything on playways, and it's got a really easy quick click of the button to kind of open that data to be on all of these activity finders, and that's one of the things that kind of really made us want to use playways with our deliverers, is that it was so easy for them to be able to just click that button and open that activity. So yeah, if we can do a real targeted approach in one of those areas, it will help us to see whether that really works. So I put Active Dern as an example on here from one of the playways finders, but we've done a survey across that community to find out what activity they might want to do. And now we're doing a little bit of asset mapping in terms of where offers that activity, to try and get them to open their data, so that we can then link through to a more localized kind of activity finder, either on their Facebook page, or we're also in conversation with a couple of kind of libraries and various other people to see whether we might be able to put a widget on their website, to just try and get where those inactive people might look, rather than looking on the kind of Yorkshire Sport Foundation website. So we're also looking at kind of new projects and opportunities to support clubs. So through our Club Matters Local programme, we're looking at whether we can have a digital support element to that as well. So encouraging people to use OpenActive to get more people kind of to attend their sessions. But I think one of the main pieces of learning that we've learned through using OpenActive is, for it to be successful, it needs kind of embedding across a whole organisation, not just sitting with one or two people. So by linking it in with the projects and explaining to kind of project leads how it works in their programme, it will mean that more people will be able to understand and advocate kind of open data across our organisation. We've also added some targets kind of into our learning and performance system, and I'm building on some other work around our kind of data hub and for global work, to try and measure the impact of using OpenActive as well, so that we've got that kind of impact report at the end too. So yeah, if you we don't have all the answers, and like I've mentioned, a lot of this work is kind of now our work moving forwards. So we're excited to kind of see how it unfolds, especially some of that real targeted community work and how some of the local activity finders might work. But we're hoping to be able to pull a case study together with some of that learning kind of later this year. So we'll share that on the Active Partnership portal. And yeah, if you're considering beginning an open active journey or kind of picking up one where we've kind of started and then dropped it a little bit, I'm happy for you to kind of contact me, and I can share some of what I've learned with you, and I'm sure you can all share some of what you've learned as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Emma. That was really useful. So Ollie's going to just spend 5 minutes now talking about the different ways that you can get involved as an active partnership. And I'm sure he'll emphasize this himself, but just to emphasize that we're not saying you as an active partnership need to do all of these things. There are different options for you to get involved. You can see from Emma and Andrew's presentations the way that they've got involved, but it can be a slightly different model for each active partnership. And after Ollie's had a chat about that, we'll be then going through the Q&A. So I'll pass back over to Ollie.
Cool, thanks Tara. Yep, so I'm just going to take you through a few different ways in which you can get involved with the Open Active Initiative. So firstly, the primary thing we would ask that you would do is to help your local activity providers to open up their opportunity data. Now, we work for the Open Data Institute and we are not experts in regards to your local activity providers. That's where you guys are the experts. You have much better relationships with all of them. So this is where we need your support to help them open their opportunity data. So if you use a system such as SportSuite, that's mentioned, for example, which allows activity providers to upload their sessions directly to that, then please do encourage them to use this. If you don't use a system such as SportSuite, then please help and encourage your local activity providers to use an Open Active enabled booking system. And you'll get these slides after this webinar, but there's a link in these slides to our guide on the website, as I mentioned earlier, which lists all of the Open Active enabled booking systems, and it has a guide with prices, and as Andrew mentioned, a lot of them are very expensive and different functionality. So please do share this and encourage your local activity providers to use this guide. And just to mention and to give further reason as to why opening their data is a great thing to do, this year the National Fitness Day Activity Finder is going to be solely using open data that meets the Open Active standards. So taking place on the 23rd of September, you're probably all aware that National Fitness Day is an annual celebration of physical activity which aims to get the nation moving. And it's a fantastic chance to allow people to try out new activities and sports for the first time. But for activity providers, they've also found that it's one of the biggest commercial days of the year for them. And they get many sign-ups after people have taken part in their activities. So this is a great opportunity for activity providers to open up their data, get people involved in opportunities, and then help people, encourage them to stay active for longer after. So please do, if anyone is hesitant towards opening their data, National Fitness Day is a great example of why it's so beneficial. So next, you can use an open data powered activity finder on your website. So by using one of these, you'll provide a platform for your activity providers to display the opportunities and also make it easier for your local community to find these opportunities. So for any active partnerships that currently have their own activity finder, which isn't open data powered, you can make it more usable for your local community by implementing the Open Active standards, and we can help you with any technical issues with that. Secondly, you can use a white labeled activity finder by working with organizations such as Playways, SportSuite, which we mentioned, and also an organization called Played. So there's 3 organizations there which you can use an activity finder which is open data powered. And here is just a quick graphic of the active partnerships which are currently using open data powered activity finders. So as we can see, probably almost 50% of the active partnerships are, which is fantastic. And we'd love all 43 to do that as well. And also just to let you know that in the middle here, we've got an Open Active enabled badge which is a new badge we've recently designed. And this is a badge that you can download from a website and display on your own website or in your email footers to let people know that you are using open data. So we know that for active partnerships, directly delivering physical activities often isn't your main role. However, if you do deliver any activities directly, then please do open them up. So again, you can use the guide, which again is linked, to see which systems are available. And if you have any routes data, please do get in contact with us and we'll be happy to assist you with opening this up. So opening up opportunity data doesn't generally incur a cost to yourself or the activity providers. It's the booking and management systems that incur this cost as they implement the standards. And therefore we need to incentivize them to implement these standards. So as Emma mentioned, we have a number of requirements which you can, along with the template email text that we've linked in here, you can use to encourage your local authority to include it in their contracts with any leisure operators. So if anyone's going to tender, then please do get in touch with them using the email text and the requirements to encourage the booking system to implement the standards. And how can we support you? So we're always available to support you in any ways that you need. So we publish regular blogs to talk about the things that people in the OpenActive community are doing and the value that it's creating. We've recently updated our website, so we'd love it if you would take a look. And also, please feel free to provide any feedback, as it's always really welcomed. We send out a monthly newsletter to keep everyone informed. So again, please do sign up to receive the newsletter. We have fortnightly engagement calls. So if you'd like to get really involved and get stuck in, then please do let us know. I'll be happy for you to join these calls. We have a Slack channel. So if any of you are using Slack, we'd love you to engage with us on this channel. You can communicate with us via there. And it's a great way for us to talk about all things OpenActive related. And as I mentioned about our recent updated website, we have a whole host of resources and tools available on there to help you learn more about OpenActive and to encourage others to get involved. And these are all in one place on our website. So please do, it's easy to find, take a look, use the tools and let us know how you get on with them. If you would like any support in implementing any of the data standards, then we also have a technical drop-in call, which you can book into with our technical lead, Tim. So again, please do book onto that. And of course, finally, please do feel free to email us with any questions that you may have at the email address shown at the bottom of this slide. So that's all the ways that we can help you and you can get involved. And now I'll go back to Tara to go to the Q&A.
Thanks, Ollie. And I think it's just worth noting as well that OpenActive is a community-led initiative. So we are steering the initiative. You know, we put together the website and the blogs and the newsletters and all of the kind of the outreach and support that we provide. But it is a community initiative, and a lot of the work that goes on is between different community organisations working together. So, for example, that Slack channel that we have is a way for the community, they can talk to us, but they can also talk to other members of the community as well. Likewise, the fortnightly engagement calls are there for everyone who wants to be heavily involved to talk to each other as well as to talk to us. So just going on to the questions. So the first one might be best for Emma or Andrew to answer. The question is, please can you just explain how using Playways and SportSuite works? I think Emma and Andrew both mentioned they are using both. Would Andrew or Emma, would one of you be happy to come in on that question?
Yeah, I'm happy to kind of explain our thinking behind it. So we do use both Playways and SportSuite. I think that's one of the great benefits of OpenActive is if they add it to one, it can be used in both kind of activity finders. So we don't use the Playways activity finder, we just use the SportSuite activity finder. But we use Playways where we have a project that we have funded. So be that some of our priority place work, be that some of our satellite clubs, because the deliverers can go in and keep a register on there. So we can obviously have the participation figures, but they can also click to open their activity opportunity, which then feeds through to our SportSuite activity finder that's on our website. And we keep the Sports Suite Activity Finder on our website as well, because that means that a club or an organisation, if they're not part of our kind of funded work, so they're not required to use Playways, they can still add their opportunities via our Sports Suite Activity Finder. So we've kind of got those two ways for clubs to open their opportunity, but just that one finder as a user interface for people to find activity, if that makes sense.
Thanks, Emma. So am I right in saying that you've got the option just to use one or the other system, or a third system if you wanted to, but you find different benefits on these systems, so you've chosen to combine them?
Yes, you don't need both. You could just use Sports Suite and that's it, or you could just use Playways. Yeah,
I'll just add to that quickly, because I saw Anna's question. We're very similar to Emma. We initially used Playways because they had the live stream function, and the week after that, Sports Suite added it to their finder. So they both have it, which is excellent. But with open data, if it's uploaded onto one, it will be on both. And again, similarly, I think for Fit Villages and satellite clubs, we'll likely use Playways because of the booking management side of it.
Great, thanks to both of you. I should also note, just for fairness sake as well, that Played are another company who also do a white labelled activity finder. I'm just conscious that both of you use the same two systems, but I don't want to exclude systems that are not represented on this call. The next question, well, it's more of a request. Emma, your video and checklist sounded great. Would you mind sharing this when it's completed?
Absolutely.
Great, that one had the highest number of upvotes, so that was very popular. Question from Joanna: we have an activity finder, it's not got open data yet. What do I need to do to make it open? So hopefully we've covered this question already, but just to clarify, you have two choices there. So either, depending on how your activity finder has been built, whether you've built it yourself or if you're using an off-the-shelf system or a white label activity finder to do that, it may be that they already have that functionality. So we've talked about Playways, we've talked about Sports Suite, we've talked about Played. So in that case, it's just a case of talking to them. It probably is already using open data, or you just need to tick the box within the systems to do that, and that shouldn't be too much of a challenge. If you've built your own custom system, you do have the option of implementing OpenActive standards yourself. There is a bit of technical work that needs to happen there, but our technical lead can help with that. Or you could choose to use one of the ones that are already OpenActive enabled. Or if you're using another off-the-shelf system that is not yet OpenActive enabled, what I would suggest is asking them if they could become OpenActive enabled. And if you CC our email address, which is the hello@openactive.io, into that email, we can follow up with that system as well and encourage and support them to implement those standards. Next question from Adrian, which is a question to Andrew. How are you getting on to get local/small providers to open their opportunities?
Yeah, good question. The majority of the time it's through contacts that we already have, so with smaller organisations that we're already working with. So things like when we're working with groups through Sporting and Inequalities Fund, if it's through satellite clubs, etc., we're encouraging them to make their data open and available that way. So trying to create basically that as the new normal. We're also going to try and build it in more so into new project areas, into service level agreements as well. But it's a big marketing push really, and pushing it out on social media and making our team aware of it to continue pushing it forward.
Great, thanks for that. I'm just going to jump around to make sure that we've got questions from a variety of people. Someone from, well, it's an anonymous person, but they've said, rather than each active partnership creating a video promoting the benefits of adding data to Sports Suites and OpenActive, can we not join forces to create one between us? So I think that's related to the work that you're doing, Emma. I think we're happy to work with you guys. So if there is a group of active partnerships who wanted to contribute to that video, then we could definitely work together to put something together that's generic enough that each active partnership can use that, and then everyone would be welcome to use that. So I don't see an issue doing that. So if you are interested in doing that, please do get in touch with us. Sorry, another question for Emma. Are you supporting community organisations and health professionals working with inactive people to promote open active opportunities and perhaps guide users?
Very short answer to this, really. We had started to look at this properly in one of our districts before lockdown, in terms of supporting health professionals with the social prescribing, signposting to activity, and then lockdown happened. So this is on our radar to pick back up as soon as we are able to. So yeah, I don't really have very much to kind of say on that one at the moment, but I can keep people in the loop as that conversation kind of progresses.
Great, thanks Emma. I'm conscious that it's got to 12 o'clock, so I'm just going to do a quick fire of all the questions that I can do a very quick answer to. Can you tell us more about the London Sports Social Prescribing Open Data Project? I wouldn't be comfortable talking about that in detail, but what I can do is reach out to London Sport and ask if they're happy for me to share their email address with everyone who signed up to this webinar, so that you can ask questions directly. What system do you promote to the end users then? Is it SportSuite? We do not promote a single system to end users. It's a free market, and we are National Lottery funded, so we don't give any organisations commercial advantage one over the other. We just sort of list options that are available to you that are OpenActive enabled, such as SportSuite, Playways, Played. So we have got a guide for systems for entering the data that can be published as open data on our website, and we are looking into building another guide for white labeled activity finders and other systems out there like 4Global as well. I think all of the other questions are probably slightly longer answers. So what I would suggest is, if you asked a question anonymously and you would like this covered and it hasn't been covered in any of the other discussions, would you mind dropping us an email at hello@openactive.io? I think on the next slide, Ollie, that's got their email address on there. Yeah, so that email address is there. And we will, I think the only person, Adrian, you're the only one who's put your name on it, so we'll get back to you separately about that question as well. But if you have got any other questions, please do let us know. So just to wrap up, I just wanted to thank our speakers. So thank you, Andrew and Emma, for putting those presentations together to help us. Thanks to Ollie for explaining everything to everyone, and thanks to everyone in the audience for joining us today and giving us your time. We will be sending out a feedback survey after this webinar, and there will be a link at the end of that survey to the slides for today, so you will have access to the slides and all the links within that. We have also recorded this webinar. It does take us a little bit of time just to format that, so as soon as that's done, we will share that with everyone who has signed up as well. And as I mentioned, if you have got any further questions, please do email us and we will get back to you as soon as possible. So thanks everyone for your time today, and enjoy the rest of your day.